Alright, we are live, ladies and germs, on tonight's edition of The Fuel. We're going to be reviewing the Daytona Road Course race. Had some decent stuff in it, but as usual, NASCAR and their rulebook decides to get in the damn way. But before we get into things, let's do an intro. So, ladies and gentlemen, tonight we're reviewing the Daytona Road Course race. This is The Fuel. And what is happening, ladies and germs? This is the Packer Man, and welcome into your NASCAR review for Sunday, February the 21st, 2021. It's 2/21/21. There you go. But tonight, here on The Fuel, we're going to be reviewing the O'Reilly Auto Parts 253, which took place on the Daytona Road Course. The second time that the road course has been used in a points race. Of course, we also saw the road course being used in the Clash, and that was actually a pretty good show. So let's see. Yep, there we go. The O'Reilly Auto Parts 253. Why they called it 253, I have no idea, but you know, that's just the way it is. 72nd episode of The Fuel, and the title of this review, Ringing the Victory Bell. Isn't it cool how I can just do that? You see the whole fucking layout right here that I got now. OBS. I wish I was using this from the very get-go. But, because this is all cool. I can just, you know, pull things up whenever I want to. That's pretty awesome. So, some of the headlines that we're going to be talking about on tonight's review. Of course, Christopher Bell got his maiden win on the Daytona Road Course. This is just his second race in that 20 car. And I kind of said that he was probably going to become a massive threat for race wins once he got into that 20 car. Because let's be honest here, Christopher Bell, I mean, the guy's a talent. I mean, so Eric Jones's days were always going to be numbered in that 20 car with Christopher Bell lurking in the shadows. So, and Bell proved it. He proved it today on the road course, and getting his first career win in thrilling fashion, running Logano down from a long ways back, and we'll get into all that here in a little bit. As it turned out, this was the Christopher Bell is the 197th different Cup Series winner in history. So we're getting closer and closer to that magical number of 200 different winners in the Cup Series. That still just blows my mind. Another little fun fact. This is only the third time that we've had back-to-back first-time winners to start a Cup Series season. The last time it happened, 1950. 71 years ago. How about that? And of course, with Bell taking the win, that means that Chase Elliott's road course streak comes to an end, snapped at 4 road course wins. And of course, it probably shouldn't have happened, considering that NASCAR threw a late race caution that probably shouldn't have been thrown, and we'll get into all that. But yeah, then this of course leads into the next one, which is NASCAR's road course rules are dumb. You know, some of the rules that they have and the officiating that they do is just completely fucking stupid. You know, but, you know, what else do you expect from NASCAR at this point? Mediocrity is their middle name. First, middle, and last name, it seems like lately. But, my first thoughts on this race, the second time that, of course, NASCAR's been on the road course for a points event, it was alright. I thought it was a solid road course race. Of course, Chase Elliott was dominating pretty much the majority of the race. I mean, which is to be expected. I mean, he's been the road course king for the last couple of years, you know, and was threatening Jeff Gordon's all-time record on road courses, which still stands at 6, and it seems like it'll stay that way for many years to come, unless Chase Elliott starts a new streak, which he could very well do, because even though, you know, shit went tits up in this race for him, there's still 6 more road courses left. The 6 road courses that were originally scheduled. Of course, the next one's not until COTA in May, I believe. So, still a little ways away. But, yeah, I thought this was a pretty solid road course race with some crazy turns in that third stage, especially. But NASCAR, again, dropping the ball with some of their officiating and with some rules that they have that really need to be changed, because some of their rules are just fucking dumb. But without all the way, let's go ahead and get into your race review for the O'Reilly Auto Parts 253 at Daytona. So the stages were just kind of wonky as far as the number of laps for each of them. Stage 1 was 16 laps. Stage 2 was 18 laps, which meant that Stage 3 was 36 laps. Why the number of laps here was just kind of wonky is beyond me. 70 laps around the Daytona Road Course, which, I mean, I think is the shortest number of laps for a race, but mainly because the Daytona Road Course, well, at least right now, well, let's wait until we get to Road America, but the Daytona Road Course is 3.56 miles long with the added front stretch chicane. So it takes 2 minutes for these drivers to get around this racetrack. I mean, that's a long-ass lap. So even though it was only 70 laps, it felt like an eternity at times for these guys to get around the racetrack. But let's go ahead and get into it. Stage 1 was 16 laps. Chase Elliott starts from the pole. Of course, the way that they were set up was the new qualifying system that they have in place, and due to Chase Elliott finishing second and also having a couple other things like fastest lap and all that other jazz, he gets to start from the pole. So right off the bat, it's like, well, he's going to be a big threat right out of the gate. We already get the first caution came out on the very first lap. Michael McDowell and Kyle Busch came together as they were going out of turn 1 and through that little whoop-de-doop section just past the exit pit road. And apparently they came together, and Kyle Busch had to go into the grass, which damaged his right front fender and splitter, which, by the way, they need to get rid of them fucking splitters, because, I mean, we've seen cases where a driver spins out, doesn't get any damage from, you know, spinning out, and then gets into the grass, the splitter digs in and completely destroys the race car. I mean, that's just fucking nonsense to me. The splitters are fucking useless. It's time to get rid of them. But Kyle Busch sustains right front damage, and Michael McDowell actually has a tire go flat. So both of those drivers had to pit for repairs before they even get through the first friggin' lap. So Elliott leads on the restart, and it was pretty clear that Elliott was going to be a threat right out of the gate, considering the fact that he had a 2-second lead by the end of the first green flag lap. Logano moves up to third as Austin Dillon drops back a few spots from the beginning. Chaos on the front stretch chicane as Chase Briscoe spins after it looked like he kind of got pinched by Bubba Wallace, but I don't know if he had some like wheel hop, which we actually saw a little bit in this race. But he spins out but gets it back going again. Eric Jones with a flat left rear tire. There was actually many different tire problems from contact and stuff like that. Kez completely blows the front stretch chicane, which is not going to be the last time he does in this race. Matt DiBenedetto also had tire problems. The right rear tire just completely exploded on his car and completely ripped all the sheet metal off of that right rear, the right rear fender, the quarter panel, the crush panels, the whole friggin' 9 yards. I mean, it was basically just all gone, which pretty much put a damper on his day. So second caution came out on lap 12 for basically a lot of debris on the racetrack from all the cut tires and all this other nonsense. Everyone comes in for service, and Elliott wins the race off of pit road. But Christopher Bell, if I can speak for a second, stays out and leads on the restart. And at this point, Keselowski was starting to lock it up quite a bit from this point to the end of the stage, and I was like, man, he must be having some kind of brake issue or something, because he just keeps locking them up and locking them up and locking them up, and the more times you do that, the more likelihood that you're just gonna flat spot the tire and it'll eventually blow out. So that was a little bit of a worrisome kind of deal right there. But Bell accidentally pushes Keselowski into the grass, and the kink kind of pushed him wide. So Keselowski kind of came back, gave him a little nudge heading into the second horseshoe. And Bell was like, okay, my bad, I'll let you go by. Logano gets by Keselowski for second, as Hamlin also closes in. And he eventually gets by Keselowski for third. And Elliott wins stage number 1. So, pretty meh first stage. About half the field comes in for service as my phone beeps. My phone is going straight to voicemail. I don't know why that is. My mother just texted me. I don't know why my phone's going to voicemail, unless I accidentally hit something. Weird. I don't know why it's on voicemail. But anywho, so about half the field comes in for service. Stage 2 is 18 laps. So even though these were short stages in terms of lap quantity, the laps are long. Like 2 minutes around this track. I mean, 16 laps, that still takes a little more than half an hour. I mean, that's still quite a ways away. So Elliott leads the start of stage 2 because he and some of the others stayed out because, I mean, they only had a few laps on their tires. Although new tires were definitely the way to go because the fall off from old tires to new tires was about 4.5 seconds a lap. Yeah. So Hamlin gets by Logano for second. Truex gets by Logano for third coming out of the infield. I mean, Truex has basically been like the antithesis to Elliott on the road courses. I mean, the two have basically... I mean, we've seen their battles at Watkins Glen in the past. So you would think that if there was one guy who could probably be a threat to Elliott, it was definitely Truex. Although Christopher Bell, I think, proved that he's a pretty damn good road racer in his own right. So Keselowski misses the backstretch chicane, the bus stop, on lap 25. So that's twice now that he's completely blown one of the chicanes. AJ Allmendinger, a guy you would think would also be a contender for this race win. He was up to fourth by Logano on lap 26. And then we had the third caution on lap 27 when Ross Chastain... It was kind of hard to get a good camera view because I didn't really have a good view of it. But it looked like Ross Chastain got nudged into the wall off of turn 6, which is coming out of the infield onto the banking, by Ryan Blaney after Blaney looked like he tried a crossover pass. Like he went out wide and tried to cut it down and accidentally nudged Chastain into the outside wall. And unfortunately, that was the end of Chastain's day. So everyone comes in for service. Hamlin wins the race off of pit road after the right front tire gets away a little bit from Elliott's crew, so they had to take a little bit longer, so he lost a few spots. Allmendinger decides to stay out, and he will lead on the restart. Hamlin makes a move for the lead after the first horseshoe, and he takes it. Elliott starts working his way back towards the front. We have our first pure lead change on lap number 30. Bubba Wallace has to make a pit stop to fix some damage. Truex and Kurt Busch, excuse me, start fighting hard for the second position. Logano takes advantage and passes Truex for third. And Hamlin wins stage number 2. So he has won 3 of the first 4 stages so far in 2021 at both Daytonas. Kurt Busch edges Logano for second, so that's 9 stage points right there. Everyone comes in for service, and Kurt Busch this time wins the race off of pit road. So now we come to stage number 3, which is 36 laps. Daniel Suarez and Matt DiBenedetto decide to stay out, which, I mean, let's be completely honest here. Trackhouse, I mean, they're a brand new team, so you're not going to expect them to, be a contender or anything of that nature. And Matt DiBenedetto, I mean, his car, the entire right rear fender has been ripped completely off of that car. So it's not going to be fast whatsoever. So he leads the start of stage 3, as well as Daniel Suarez. Allmendinger actually sped on pit road and had to restart at the tail end of the field. So tough break for him. Kurt Busch gets by both Suarez and Maiden to take over the race lead. Elliott gets by Hamlin for 5th. Bell moves up to 2nd. But then Kurt gets a little ambitious at the kink and actually hits the curbing and then actually shoots his car out into the grass. He spins out, but he gets it back going again, but he loses a lot of positions. I mean, he went from the lead all the way back to 27th position. But he would recover nicely, though, which we'll get to in a little bit. So Christopher Bell inherits the lead, but because it was kind of off of a big mistake by the leader, going out into the grass and spinning out, that's not going to count as a pure lead change, in my opinion. But Elliott gets by Truex and begins running down Bell for the lead. And eventually he gets by Christopher Bell for the race lead. That's our second pure lead change on lap 41. Kurt Busch just barely nudges Keselowski in turn 1, and the 2 goes around. I mean, it didn't even look like the one car hit him all that hard. But I mean, these cars are so loose, anyways. I mean, we've heard it in the past. These cars can be so loose you can turn them around with your finger. So I mean, that did not look like a whole hell of a lot of contact, but it doesn't take much. Kyle Busch, gets by Hamlin for the 5th position with 26 laps to go. So he actually had a nice recovery going, at least at this point. Almirola spins at the first horseshoe, but gets it back going. Kyle Busch gets by Logano for 4th on lap 46. Bell starts closing back in on Elliott, so it looked like Bell actually had a long run car in this case as he starts chasing Elliott back down for the race lead, while everybody else is 7 seconds behind. So there you go. So the 2 were obviously, the class of the field at this point in the race. There was a great battle for 5th between Hamlin, Larson, and Logano. They were just kind of swapping back and forth. Truex, the first of the leaders to pit on lap 51. It's like, well, we're not going to see the leaders stay out for that much longer because, again, the lap time fall off was pretty significant. So, as it turns out, Elliott would pit from the lead on lap 53 and maintains the lead. So it's looking like at this point, he's on his way to his 5th straight road course win. But then, during a side-by-side commercial break, they show a shot of a rainbow over the track, and I'm like, wow, that's actually kind of cool. And then it cuts to a shot of Kyle Busch's team scrambling around their pit box, and they're actually mounting up the rain tires. Because as it turned out, a small shower had actually materialized over the racetrack and was actually getting the track wet in some spots, and it's like, oh my god, they're actually mounting up the rain tires. So it's like it's kind of like one of those holy shit moments, because it's like, oh my god, we could actually see the rain tires being put on here. But it was just a small shower, and it eventually moved through the area. But this leads to what has, certainly on social media anyways, the most controversial caution of the race on lap 57 when NASCAR decided to throw it for rain. Now, apparently, according to their rule book, if even on a road course, if there's a caution for, if there is a significant rain, like if the track gets damp, then they have to throw the caution once, and then after that, they let the teams. Basically, it's up to the teams after that at their discretion to decide if they want wet tires or dry tires or not. My problem with this, why even throw the caution to begin with? You know, Formula One and IndyCar don't do that shit. I mean, they leave it up to the teams to decide if they want to put dries on or put wets on. Why does NASCAR feel the need to do that? I mean, it just creates an unnecessary caution, and it just completely turns this race on its head. You know, I realize that it's part of the rule book, but just because it's part of the rule book does not make it a good rule. And in this case, it's not a good rule. And just for clarification, I am not a Chase Elliott homer or anything like that. I mean, to be honest, I'm not a big. I don't have a dog in this fight. I mean, I don't really have a driver that I really, pull for, and I'm a huge fan of that, to the point where I'm like wearing his gear, and all that other shit, like I used to do with Junior back in the day. So I don't have a dog in this fight. I mean, Chase Elliott, I'm just kind of, whatevs, I'm not for or against Chase Elliott in any capacity. I just think the rule's a dumb rule. Let these teams, race it out, and let it be up to their discretion to decide if they want to change from dry tires, the slick radials, onto the grooved wet weather intermediates. I mean, it's not really it's not difficult, it's not a difficult thing to do, But they decided to throw the caution, and it just completely turned the race on its head. So everyone comes in for service. Well, not everyone. Christopher Bell wins the race off pit road. So he was actually the first guy off with the fresh tires. 11 cars stayed out, and including Logano, who would lead on the restart. And as there was a couple more cautions after this, so his decision to stay out was looking better and better. So Reddick actually gets knocked off into the grass and takes a sign with him, which is going to come back here in a minute. Elliott almost loses it in the grass after he gets run off by Corey LaJoie, who I guess had cars on his right side as well. But we get our fifth caution on lap 59 when Reddick's car catches on fire. I'm guessing that the sign that he was carrying went underneath his car and probably knocked the oil pan off. And it basically burst into flames. So they got that cleaned up relatively quickly because caution laps take a while. And I'm pretty sure they got some criticism for the long-ass cautions from the trucks and Xfinity races. So they sped things up a little bit. So green flag came out, I think, on lap 61. Logano leads on the restart. Truex spins it in turn 1. Wheel hop. He got in there pretty hot, and it wheel hopped, and they went on board his car, and you can hear that bop, 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 where the tires are just chattering across the track. So wheel hop was the culprit there. Kurt challenged Logano for the lead, but then we get our sixth caution on lap 61. Corey LaJoie goes into the turn 5 wall, probably from contact from Chase Elliott, who had a big old dent in the nose of his car now. Wonder if that was payback. So they get that cleaned up though, and Logano leads on the restart with 8 laps to go. This would be the final restart of the race. We got some 3 wide going through the first horseshoe. Larson, who had actually the best tires at this point, he had the freshest tires, and made his way up to third and was behind Kurt Busch. And coming out of the infield, he actually had a run and actually had the pass made, but actually went in a little too hot. Got the car loose and smacked into the tire barrier coming out of turn 6. So that was the end of his shot at the win. I mean, I think he would have won this race if he had been able to keep control, because he had the freshest tires and he was coming. So that's a tough break for him. So all of a sudden, it's looking more and more like Logano is going to win this thing just by staying out on the final restart. Kyle Busch starts slamming into someone on the front stretch. I guess he got put into the wall by the guy, and he was not too thrilled about it. And I think there was also a quote from him on Twitter where he was kind of like, I don't know where these, some of these back markers come from, or why they're in the fucking Cup Series to begin with, and all that other stuff. I mean, there are some cases where, he has a point, whether you like it or not. See example, Quint Houff. Although in this case, I mean, he had an engine failure very early on, so I pick on him sometimes, but I mean, some of the shit that happens to him, it's not really his fault. But yeah, Kyle was not happy with someone on the front stretch, and it actually ended up costing him because he had actually cut down a tire. But his day was shit, from that point forward. Christopher Bell actually gets some right front damage while battling with Kurt Busch as Elliott moves up to 5th. And then Keselowski and Elliott start battling hard for the 4th position. But as Elliott gets the run coming out of the infield at the same spot where Kyle Larson spun off himself, what happened was Elliott tried to do a crossover move on Keselowski because he went out wide and tried to cut it down. Unfortunately, Hamlin was also there as well, and Elliott, as he made the cutover, came across Hamlin's right front fender, and it spun Elliott out, and that was basically the death knell for Elliott's chances to score his 5th consecutive road course win and basically continue chasing Gordon's record. So that was it for that. So again, looking more and more like Logano's going to win this race. But then Christopher Bell gets by Kurt Busch for 2nd with 5 laps to go in the race. At this point, he's 3.5 seconds back, but he was taking chunks off of Logano's lead. I mean, at one point, he was a second faster. And I was like, oh, he could catch Logano here. So he starts closing in. Briscoe starts dropping back, and he actually has to go to pit road because he was leaking power steering fluid. And then the hood of his car flies up and onto the roof of his car. You probably couldn't see it first, but then it kind of stayed stuck to the roof of his car, kind of like a fucking one of them. What the hell do you call it? Like a fucking umbrella or something, just staying up on top of the roof of his car. So Hamlin challenges Kurt for the 3rd position, and I believe he actually did get by Kurt, so he got up to the 3rd position. But Bell is chomping into Logano's lead, like taking huge chunks, because he does have fresher tires than Logano. And then with 2 laps to go, he's right there, right on Logano's bumper. And then going through the backstretch chicane, he actually gets a great run and goes to the outside of Logano in what is turn 3 for Daytona, but is actually turn 11 for the road course. Logano tries to block, because he loves to try to block. But I think he learned his lesson after what happened in the 500 last week. So he lets Bell get up on the outside. And then coming to the front stretch chicane, Bell is able to complete the pass, coming to the white flag, presented by Credit One Bank, as I like to say during the WRP events. And that was our 3rd and final pure lead change of the day on lap number 69, coming to the white flag. And Christopher Bell, in dramatic fashion, coming from behind, chasing Logano down in the final 5 laps to nab his maiden Cup Series victory. We've had back-to-back first-time winners for the first time since 1950. And Christopher Bell becomes the 197th different winner in Cup Series history. So congratulations to Christopher Bell. Just his 2nd ever start in that 20 car, and he's already nabbed a win. So, congratulations to Christopher Bell. I mean, the guy's a talent. I mean, what else can you say at this point? I mean, just his 38th start. I mean, this is just his 2nd year of competition. Of course, his rookie year was in the 95 car last year. But he was tearing it up in trucks, tore it up in the Xfinity Series, and now he has his first win. The guy's going to be a star in the Cup Series. I mean, he's probably going to be in that 20 car for many years to come, I would say. Because he did have a good run in the 500, but I think he got taken out late. But today he got the job done, and he got his first career win. So major props to Christopher Bell, and hence the name of this review. So there you go. But I thought it was a solid race overall. But let's be completely honest here. NASCAR, they need to get rid of that dumb throwing the caution for wet conditions on a road course. On the oval, I would understand, but on a road course, it's completely pointless. Let the teams have discretion on whether or not they want to change onto the wet weather tires. I mean, Formula One doesn't have this fucking problem. So why does NASCAR continue to handicap themselves? It makes no fucking sense whatsoever. NASCAR just continues to baffle me. They really do. But other than that, here, let's take a look at race results, point standings, and all that other good stuff. Well, first of all, as I usually do, and because I can just make it pop up under the race headlines, which I think is pretty cool. So, what I usually do, overall lead changes. We had 12 lead changes in this 70-lap affair. So a little over 1/7 of the race had at least one different winner, or one different leader at one point or another, which I guess on a road course is not bad. Only 3 pure lead changes the entire race, but again, it's a 70-lap race. On a road course race, pure lead changes are not going to be a very high number. I mean, honestly, if it gets above 5, I would consider that a good day for a road course race. And we had 6 total cautions on the day. A new stat that I'm going to be throwing in. I don't count the stage breaks as cautions because that's just dumb. That's just my opinion. But yeah, 12 overall lead changes, 3 of them pure with 6 total caution flags. Of course, the cautions really picked up after they threw the caution for rain, which was completely unnecessary in my opinion. So there you go. So, race results. Let's take a look at the top 10. Boom, there you go. Christopher Bell with the win. I think he only led like 5 total laps on the day. Most of the laps was led by Chase Elliott. So he gets the 5 playoff points, and he's locked into the NASCAR playoff for a second straight year. This time by virtue of victory. Logano comes home in second. Denny Hamlin in third position. He led 5 laps on the day. Kurt Busch led earlier in the race. Took a little trip through the dirt, which he really should be saving that for Bristol in about a month. But he comes back and recovers and gets a top 5 finish. Despite all of Keselowski's problems today, getting spun out, missing the chicane twice, having brake issues, he somehow comes out with a top 5 finish. Like, holy shit, dude. Major props to Keselowski, never giving up and keeping on fighting, and got a top 5 out of it. Kevin Harvick comes home in the 6th position. AJ Allmendinger, he had his issues. He actually had a flat tire. Excuse me. And also had a penalty for speeding on pit road and came back for a top 10 finish. Same with Michael McDowell. A nice follow-up to his Daytona 500 victory. Comes home with an 8th place finish. Nice run for him. So 2 top 10s to start the season. So good job by McDowell. Of course, super speedways and road courses have always been his thing. But major props to McDowell on a nice run despite having a not so good start. And then Ryan Preece and Alex Bowman round out the top 10. Bowman was kind of nowhere. He actually had to start 36th due to the system qualifying system because he wrecked out early in the 500. But good recovery for him. He ends up with a top 10 finish. So what do the point standings look like heading into Homestead next week? Well, they look like this. Denny Hamlin now leads the points with 104. He has 3 playoff points because he has 3 stage wins out of 4. Logano is currently second, 12 points back. Kevin Harvick in third. And you have Christopher Bell, who's locked into the playoff now. Chase Elliott in fifth. Michael McDowell, top 10 in points right now due to his Daytona 500 win and 8th place finish in the road course. Ryan Preece is 7th. This despite the fact that the 37 team does not have a charter this year. And they don't even know if they're going to be able to run the whole season. And yet he's top 10 in points. So sponsors, please help this 37 team out. I mean, Preece is doing a pretty damn good job, all things considered. Especially considering that he is currently top 10 in points. I mean, come on, people. Let's get him some sponsorship. Kurt Busch, Austin Dillon, and Brad Keselowski round out the top 10. And then rest of the top 20, you have Cole Custer, Kyle Larson, Bubba Wallace, Martin Truex Jr., Corey LaJoie, and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. That's the top 16 in points. And then you have Kyle Busch with back-to-back shitty finishes to start the season. Chris Buescher, Ryan Blaney, and Ross Chastain round out the top 20. And as for my final rating for the O'Reilly Auto Parts 253 at Daytona, a new thing that I'm going to be showcasing since I'm able to do all this now with OBS. This might seem like a little bit of a ripoff of Eric Estep's groupie gauge that he does, but I mean, I think mine makes a little more sense because, you know, it's the fuel. So I'm introducing the fuel gauge. Basically, it showcases whether it's a 10 at the top or if it's empty, it's all red and it has a 0 at the bottom. That's basically how it is. I'm not going to do the point, you know, whatever out of 10s anymore. It's just going to be the whole numbers. It's either going to be a 0, a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, or 10 out of 10 on the fuel gauge. So for this week's race, the O'Reilly Auto Parts 253, I'm going to give it a solid 6 out of 10. So it'll be a 6 on the fuel gauge. So it's a solid 6 out of 10. It was a pretty fine road course race. It's just that the first stage was kind of blasé, and there was that worthless caution in stage 3 for rain. That was just dumb. It was completely unnecessary, and I really think it really shook things up as far as what happened at the end of that race. I mean, I think it screwed Chase Elliott out of a win. You know, and it really wasn't necessary. NASCAR, get your officiating on road courses right and fix this fucking rule. It's stupid. And it's pretty clear that, because the large majority of NASCAR fans on Twitter are shitting all over you for it. And these guys are usually butting heads. And yet when they come together on something, you know you fucked up. You know, just saying. But that is going to do it for tonight's edition of The Fuel. Actually ran through it pretty damn quickly. Only looks like 37-ish. Yeah, only 37 minutes in. So pretty quick review tonight. I guess it's about the same as usual. I just didn't expect it to be this short for a live review. But hope you guys enjoyed the new layout that I got here. I mean, it's pretty fucking cool that I'm able to do this using OBS, and I can, you know, morph all the stuff to whatever I want to. And I can also make things appear and reappear and all that other cool stuff. So that's actually pretty cool. So I kind of wish I had OBS right from the get-go. And it seems like that there's no video desync this time around. So hold on, let me check something. Using OBS, and I can, you know, morph all the stuff to. Yeah, it seems like there's no desync with the camera, unlike with the game capture software that I was using for the Daytona 500. So I really wish I would have had OBS for the Daytona 500 last week, but you know, it is what it is. But we're using OBS now, and the fuel reviews are going to be better and better, are going to be better than ever, I should say, with all this other different shit. And if I can figure it out, I might be able to do the background music, get some background music once again on here. I think I can do that. Because, let me check something. Well, it says media source, so I think I can put, like some of the background music on, like I used to do. Like some of the F-Zero X music and shit like that. So I could probably do that. That'd be interesting. But anywho, that is going to do it for tonight's live edition of The Fuel. And the great thing about, you know, doing it live is I don't have to do a whole lot of frickin' editing, you know, or anything of that nature like I do with the pre-made reviews that I did in the first 2 seasons. So that's pretty cool. And I can also switch between scenes, you know, and I can transition and all that other cool stuff. So I can switch between them if I need to here on this control room, which I think is pretty freaking cool. God damn, I wish I would have had OBS before. Or I wish I actually had OBS, but I couldn't really figure things out. But I started tinkering with it, and now I can do all this shit. So it's pretty freaking cool. But that is going to do it for tonight's live review of the O'Reilly Auto Parts 253 at the Daytona Road Course. Once again, congratulations to Christopher Bell on his maiden victory. And I think we're going to see a lot more coming out of him in the near future. So, thank you very much for watching tonight. And until next time, this is the Packer Man signing out. See you later.
Thank you for watching tonight's video. Be sure to like and subscribe, you rats!